Bitcoin just flashed this double B pattern. Everyone is talking about it. I'm getting messages from every angle asking me what's my opinion. And I dug deep into the charts and I found a very interesting pattern about this recent signal. And I'm gonna share it with you in this video and give my honest take on what it means for Bitcoin right now and Bitcoin's immediate future. If you're new here, my name is Steve. I started in the stock market a little over 20 years ago and just got destroyed. I made every rookie mistake in the book. I spent the next 20 years learning how to dominate this game, and I'm here with you so you don't have to go through all the rookie mistakes that I did for those years. Hit that subscribe button right now. We're going to be jumping into this double B strategy, this double B signal that just flashed. And I'm going to give you my honest take at the end of the video based on all the facts and evidence that we've collected for this video right here. What this is the hash ribbons, right? The simple way to know what the hash ribbons is it's based on the miners. Are the miners capitulating or are they accumulating? That's what this tells us, okay? They're capitulating here during this period here. And they're buying, they're accumulating when you get a signal, all right? So very simply put, it's been relatively quiet for a very long time in Bitcoin until recently. We started showing some signs that miners were capitulating. We had a price decline from upwards of 70K all the way down to 17.5K. Now here on this channel, a little over 60 days ago, we called that the bottom was in fact in. Based on the facts and the charts, not our emotional opinion. Here we are 60 days later. Has my opinion changed? Is this double B strategy playing into my opinion changing? More on that in a moment. For the hash ribbons, you can go back in history. There have been a lot of hash ribbon signals that we can go back in history and take a look. Now, during bear markets, you're going to get a lot more of these double B signals flashing. During bull markets, it should be relatively quiet, especially near our peak. Now that you know we're in a bear market, you can be prepared for some more signals. But how accurate are they? Should we listen to them? How much should we pay attention to them? Now, if we look at just the facts, we look at what's happening here, most of the time, or the high majority of the time, where we flash this double B signal, we have price rising, okay? Now, what you can see is that there are some outliers, this one, and another one that we're going to talk about. But outside of the outliers, more than often, when you get this signal, price rises. When you get the SPY signal, price rises. When you get the signal, price rises. And again, you're not going to get these signals in the midst of a bull market. You're going to get them when we're consolidating, when price is moving sideways, when people are accumulating, specifically the miners. When the miners are accumulating, we get these signals. Now, what we look at is how accurate is this? So if we look at the high majority of the time we're getting these signals, price rises, well, it's probably a good time to pay attention to these signals. But now let's look at, well, how often are these signals inaccurate? How often do they lead us down a dark path where Bitcoin plummets in prices and it wipes out all of your profits? Well, as we look into the facts, you can see that there's one outlier double B signal here. There's another, and this is, again, back in 2011. The hash ribbons didn't exist then. This is in retrospect, but again, in 2015. And there's one more in 2018. And then there's this outlier here that's a little bit different than all of the previous ones that I showed you. We'll get to this one in a moment, but let's first focus on this outlier, and this outlier. What's fascinating about these outliers? What do I mean by outliers? I mean that we flashed this buy signal right here, right? When price was over here at about $219, we went up to 322. Everybody was swimming in the profits. They listened to this signal, and then we crashed all the way back down to 163. The problem here is, well, if you bought this signal, price rose. Good. But how about this crash? Now that we dig into the facts, we can find a common theme. with these outlier signals. Most of the time when you buy, price just continues to rise, right? But on occasion, we buy, price rises for a moment, we get very excited, and then there's a very large crash. What you'll notice, and take a look at the charts and see if you see what I see, right? We're in a bear market, we get a buy signal, everybody's happy, we go from 3K up to 14K. We fall down dramatically in prices from 14K down to here, and we get this other buy signal here. Everybody's like, okay, I'll buy here. Price rises, everybody gets very excited, and then it plummets even more. This pattern is incredibly similar to the one we just discussed here. Do you see what I'm seeing? What will you notice about this signal we got here and this signal we got here? It's right before we double bottomed, meaning we had this consolidation period. The market's moving sideways. People are accumulating. We get a couple of these blue dots, really good, thumbs up. And then we get our last one here. Price rises and everybody's like, that's it. This is it. This is the start of the bull market. And then we crashed. But we didn't crash to any random price. We actually crashed to a double bottom. All right. That's what we did in 2015. In 2018, 2019, you can see the same thing, right? We bottomed here, clear as day. We rallied in prices. This was an outlier. This was an ABC correction. Again, this was not sustainable. If you watched our channel, we were all over this move. And from 14K, we crashed down when we came down to here. And everyone's like, this is it. That's the bottom. We're going to buy here. Everything's going to be perfect. We went up in prices. Everybody got excited and we crashed down. We didn't crash down to a random price. We crashed down to a double bottom. Now, these are the outliers. These are the signals where it's like, hey, I bought, I followed this, and then the market crashed. But again, this is all strategic, okay? The outliers are telling us like, hey, these outlier strategies were actually a pretty good time to buy as well. Even if you bought here and we double bottomed, you would have picked up more during this bear market. You would have bought at some very, very strategic times. So it comes to this one, right? And you may be asking, well, what is the double B? Why are you calling it a double B? Well, it's a buy signal and it's blue, double B. So here's what I'll say. As you look at this signal, we're getting one now, and you're wondering, hey, is this really a good buying opportunity? Should I wait? Here's the big picture. Bitcoin's price is right around the price it was 5 years ago. That's a fact, a cold, hard fact. So if you're asking yourself, hey, is it a good time to buy Bitcoin now that it's the same price as it was 5 years ago? I think you have your answer. And if we dig into it more, this is another outlier where the price, it told you to buy here. We went up briefly, but we crashed down even more, not technically to a double bottom. This was a major outlier, and let's address that in a moment. But back to this buy signal. If you're thinking, should I buy more Bitcoin now? We flashed this double B strategy. It's been fascinatingly accurate. When it wasn't accurate, it was right before we technically double bottomed, except for this one. I think you've got to think about it like this. In a bear market, people make the same mistake over and over. And again, I've been in many, many bear markets in all different industries, right? I started in the stock market when I was 16 years old, and my first bear market, I was ridiculous. I made every mistake you could. Looking back on it, it's incredibly humorous. But what I learned after bear market after bear market after bear market was that everyone makes the same common mistake. The biggest mistake people make is they don't buy. They're waiting for prices to drop even lower, and they don't buy at all. If you closed your eyes in any bear market in human history and bought, instead of holding and sitting on your hands, you would have looked like a superhero. And that's any bear market. Bear markets are tough because the news and the media makes it seem like we're always going to drop more, that there's always worse times coming around the corner. But the markets always recover. They always do. Nothing goes straight up and nothing goes straight down. So saying that, I'll say this. This buy signal, does it mean that price is going to rally to new all-time highs? No. If you look at all of these signals in the past, we should get many signals during this bear market. This is just the first one. All right. So technically, we got this one during this type of a market when we had our first move down before our double top. This is the outlier. This is the one that threw a little curveball into the mix here, where we had a buy signal. We went to new all-time highs. So technically it's a pretty good signal, but we dropped even lower than our market structure. We broke this market structure and went to new lows. We didn't create a market bottom, which we did in these other outliers. So that's the one I'm looking at. Do we have more downside action? Nobody knows. But what we do know is this cross that we had with the 110 and the 300, it happened here right at the market bottom. And also if we go back, it happened here at the 2015 bottom when the yellow line crosses the red. Those things we do have as a fact. Another fact is that Bitcoin price is right around the price it was 5 years ago. If you take all of that into consideration, and then there's a lot of facts in the charts that we reached the bottom in this price here at 17.5. We called for the bottom a little over 60 days ago. Has my opinion changed that the bottom is in? Here we are 60 days later, and I'll say the big picture is there are some charts that scare me. I'm going to cover it in our next video. You should definitely subscribe right now. There's one chart right here, and we need to give an update on this chart right here. But that's going to be in the next video. What I will say in the big picture is my opinion hasn't changed after 60 days. There's a lot of information in the charts that are still suggesting the bottom is in. After 60 days, it's still a stronger argument that the bottom is in. There are some charts that scare me that could spiral out of control that I'll cover in my next video. But again, I think that this is legitimate. Does it mean that price is going to go straight up? No. Does it mean that this is probably a good time to buy in a bear market? Yes. All right. This is not financial advice, but hit that subscribe button. I'll see you right back here in the next video. There's only one question left. When to sell your cryptocurrency? Click right here, right now to find the 3 simple steps.